The National Intelligence Service is Kenya's primary security agency that is the backbone of Kenya's internal and external security. An agency shrouded in secrecy, sleek and precise operations to ensure the country remains safe from any security threats. The NIS, as coded, operates from Kenya's capital, Nairobi, but its performance can be felt across the country and outside the Kenyan borders. From border operators to street vendors, journalists, lawyers, doctors, teachers, political leaders to villagers, the NIS is deeply rooted in the Kenyan population with just one task: risking their lives in gathering of information that is important for the country's national security. In the corridors of power in Nairobi, among quietly lit offices and classified files, operates one of Kenya's most secretive institutions, the National Intelligence Service, NIS. To many, it is unseen, to others, feared. But whether hailed as protector or condemned for excesses, NIS is central to Kenya's internal and external security. This is the story of Kenya's most discreet security agency. The NIS began as a department of the police service in 1952, named as the Special Branch under the British administration. After a few years of operations, the Special Branch was in 1963 made independent from the Kenya Police. In 1969, it earned a new charter with the branch synonymous under the leadership of James Kanyotum, and in 1986, under the presidency of Daniel Arap Moi, the Special Branch was transformed into the infamous Directorate of Security Intelligence, DSI. In 1998, after the Al-Qaeda bombings in Nairobi, the law was changed. The parliament passed the National Security Intelligence Service Act, which formally created the NSIS as a statutory body, replacing the Directorate of Security Intelligence, DSI, which had been popularly referred to as the Special Branch, and the DSI transformed into a more professional NSIS in full, the National Security Intelligence Service. A significant reform followed in 1999, separating the NSIS from the police and removing the authority of the agency to make arrests. Under the new formation, Brigadier retired Wilson Boynet was appointed the first NSIS Director General and would serve from 1998 to 2006. In 2006, Brigadier Boynet was replaced by his military compatriot, Major General retired Michael Gishangi from 2006, who led the NSIS up until 2014. But before 2014, the NSIS had a number of transformation and a change in operations. Michael Gishangi's era as the director of NSIS was hit with a major terror attack in 2013 when gunmen stormed Westgate Mall attack in what would later turn around Kenya's security setup. Michael Gishangi retired in 2014, 2 years before his second 5-year term, citing personal issues, and was replaced immediately by fellow military man, Major General retired Philip Kamerum. According to sources, Gishangi was sacked by President Uhuru Kenyatta as an aftermath of the 2013 Westgate Mall attack, where NIS was accused of failing to tame the attack. After the 2010 Constitution in 2012, the NSIS was restructured and renamed simply the National Intelligence Service, now famously known as NIS. Major General Kameru was the first NIS Director General.
I will do justice in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya.
The transformation to NIS marked the beginning of a well-organized and structured agency tasked with protecting Kenyans through gathering of intelligence. Under Article 242 of the Kenyan Constitution 2010, Chapter 14 on National Security, NIS is established as responsible for security intelligence and counterintelligence, among other functions prescribed by national legislation.
If we involve the public, we involve all the stakeholders, we should be able to reverse the threat that is worrying the Kenyans, that an enemy is coming and hitting them with impunity and getting away with that.
The NIS primary mandate is detecting and identifying any threat or potential threat to the security of Kenya, advising the president and the government of any threat or potential threat to the security of Kenya, and taking steps to protect the security interest of Kenya, whether political, military, or economic. In case you didn't know, part of the NIS mandate is also to gather ministerial intelligence at the request of any government ministry, department, or agency, and help government institutions make decisions. The NIS conducts security vetting investigations for the security clearance of persons who are appointed to hold vettable positions and may have access to any sensitive or classified information. Take for instance, in 2021, President Uhuru Kenyatta refused to appoint 6 judges based on what he termed as intelligence advisory against the 6. Primarily, a Senate committee or a vetting panel can request details of an appointee from the NIS, seeking to understand the person's life, tempers, financial dealings, and association, among many other things. The NIS is divided into 2 major divisions among the listed 7. One is the Internal Intelligence Division of the service, which is responsible for gathering domestic intelligence, and the External Intelligence Division responsible for gathering foreign intelligence and counterintelligence, including information that is unobtainable. The External Division gathers intelligence on political, economic, sociological, and technical aspects of intelligence affecting the national security and intelligence in relation to organized crimes such as terror and drug trafficking. The recruitment of the NIS was an open process where applicants would submit their applications and documentation through a portal and later vetted for enlisting. However, that procedure was since put away, and the agency now relies on handpicking its agents and service members through a process determined internally. Unknown to many, the NIS is domiciled under the Ministry of Interior Security with governing National Security Intelligence Council. The Intelligence Council is chaired by NIS Director General and comprises of CS Interior, CS Foreign Affairs, CS Finance and National Treasury, the Attorney General, Secretary to the Cabinet, and Head of Public Service. The Council advises the service on all matters pertaining to national security and intelligence policies, the administration of the service, and the expenditure of the service. The operations of the country's intelligence unit are so secretive that nobody knows its headquarters. However, the NIS operates in discreet in a building off Thika Road. From 2014, the NIS was under Major General Philip Kameru up until 2023. Kameru was appointed by former President Uhuru Kenyatta after his stint at the Director of Military Intelligence came to an end in 2014. In 2023, President William Ruto appointed a more quiet civilian Nordin Haji to spearhead the NIS. Haji, until his appointment, was the Director of Public Prosecution under the Uhuru Kenyatta regime. Kenyatta had poached Haji from the NIS, where he was the then Deputy Director of the Organized Crime Unit, tasked with containing the frequent terror attacks on Kenyan soil. Between 2014 and 2023, when Major Kameru was the Director General, Kenya faced one of its lowest moments through deadly terror attacks that nearly put the country on its knees. The 2015 Garissa University terror attack and the 2019 Dusit attack summed up the end to Kenya's volatility to attacks. The NIS stepped up its mandate and has up to date successfully tamed any major attacks in the Kenyan territory. In July 2025, the NIS publicized its border war against terror by displaying the Special Operations Group SOG, a unit drawn from National Police Service Administration Police but domiciled under the National Intelligence Service (NIS), joining other global intelligence agencies that drive with a paramilitary unit. The NIS Director General is the only person that has direct access to the President 24/7. Other ranking officials, including police chiefs and cabinet secretaries, have to seek the President's audience through the State House. Usually, the NIS chief always briefs the President early in the morning on a daily basis in what is referred to as situational analysis of the country. The calls come in through a secure line where the NIS briefs the President, followed by the military intelligence and now the National Directorate of Criminal Investigation. While the NIS has largely transformed and specialized its operations, its secrecy has birthed controversy over its operations, and like many other government institutions, the NIS has often found itself on the receiving end, a punching bag for injustice allegation. Big of the agency's criticism came from the dust of the June 2024 Gen Z-led protests, where the agency was accused of carrying out illegal abduction of protesters in a bid to suppress the youthful uprising that at some point threatened to overthrow the government after a deadly triumph over the Kenyan parliament. In January 2025, the then Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi, who between June and July 2024 served as the Attorney General, claimed that the intelligence agency and its director Nordin Haji had been involved in the abduction of his son Leslie Muturi. In a statement recorded at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Muturi claimed that it was only after President William Ruto's intervention that his own son was freed by NIS, despite efforts to reach out to the NIS boss.
The National Intelligence Service, NIS, abducted my son, and a call from President William Ruto to NIS Director Nordin Haji secured the release of my son, Leslie. These are the words of the Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi.
Public Service Secretary Justin Muturi has accused National Intelligence Service Director General Nordin Haji of abducting his son.
It is unbelievable that the son of the Honorable Attorney General of Kenya, Justin Bidan Muturi, was abducted at night in a commando style by officers of the National Intelligence Service.
The claims sparked international outrage, with the pressure mounting on the agency. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in October 2024 had linked the NIS to assassination attempts on his life based on political differences with President William Ruto, and subsequently Gachagua became a critic of the country's intelligence unit.
Nordin Haji was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, had Nordin Haji done his job, we will not be where we are today. He has no capacity. He is out of the country most of the time on business trips. The country is on his own. My boss, President William Ruto, is exposed that he has to back down and admit that he has hurt the people of Kenya. Yet this matter has been in public domain for the last 2 months. I want to say that Nordin Haji must take responsibility for the deaths that occurred. He must take responsibility for the mayhem.
NIS officers are not allowed to conduct any political activities or act on behalf of any political party in the country.
I can discern that the fear is the NIS being utilized to sort out political issues. What I want to say is that I assure you that NIS will continue being professional.
In a bid to foster the country's intelligence preparations, the National Intelligence and Research University College was established in 2021 as a constituent college of the National Defense University. The institution established to focus on intelligence studies and research on complex security threats in order to protect national and regional interest. In 2025, the institution became a chartered university. Although NIS is constitutionally established and its functions and limits are laid out in law, oversight remains a contentious matter. Secrecy by its nature conflicts with transparency, with many of its operations beyond public views. For instance, in 2021, the Auditor General uncovered 1 billion Kenyan shillings payment from the Ministry of Lands to NIS for the Digital Land Information Management System, a project whose record and the role of NIS in its development were opaque. NIS had refused access to its records by the Auditor General. In 2022-2023 financial year, the National Treasury cut NIS allocation budget by 10 billion Kenyan shillings. The NIS boss would years later come out publicly and is on record decrying limited budget for the country's critical institution.
If you look at the kind of equipment that we have as a security sector, it is really wanting. And I think as a country, we need to decide whether we are serious and whether we want to ensure that we are giving the security that Kenyans deserve. I don't know how else we are going to emphasize this. We really need, and this sector really needs to be looked at very carefully.
Attempts to strengthen oversight on NIS under the NIS Act have rather been difficult, despite the Act's provision of an Intelligence Service Complaints Board to receive and investigate complaints against NIS and its officers. However, there have been reports of delayed recruitment and delays in making this board functional.
Is the DG in order to say that the military has no equipment on camera? I don't find that appropriate.
That one, I will not lie to Kenyans. And I don't think we need to lie to Kenyans. And it does not mean that we are not able to safeguard this country. We are able to safeguard this country. But the kind of equipment that they have needs to be upgraded. They need to have new equipments. And we cannot beat about the bush about this.
The NIS grapples with evolution into a more public-oriented institution, with its attempt to steer away from secrecy met with a block. The NIS Director General public statement in 2025 caused a public uproar over the agency's meddling in internal political affairs.
Intelligence, by its nature, operates in the shadows. It thrives on discretion and anonymity, handling information that is rarely discussed openly. Yet, at its core, intelligence exists to safeguard Kenya's national security, protect the fabric of our society, and ensure the safety of our people. In an era where threats are dynamic, borderless, and increasingly unconventional, security is no longer the sole domain of government agencies. These threats target our communities, businesses, and way of life, making an informed and engaged public not just beneficial, but essential to national security. We must remember that intelligence work, by its very nature, cannot always be loud, it cannot always explain itself, and yet in a democratic state, silence must never be mistaken for impunity.
Kenya's National Intelligence Service operates at the nexus of power and secrecy. It is central to national security and often makes the difference between threat and prevention. Its origin from colonial, then repressive, then reforming, mirrors Kenya's own political evolution. The NIS today is more capable, structured, professional than its predecessors, but its authority remains bottled with risk. The challenge is to ensure that NIS remains a guardian, not a tool of repression, a source of security, and and not fear to Kenyans. With effective oversight, respect for the rule of law, and transparent yet secure operations, NIS can live up to its stated vision to be a professional security intelligence service that shall ensure a prosperous and secure Kenya. This is the Brief Channel. Did you like this video? If you did, like, comment and share this video. This is the Brief Channel.